Hello and welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV. Now, when we last left off, we were just about ready to run Sastasha, which is one of the dungeons. So we're going to go ahead and log into the game, see if there's anybody in the free company that wants to go, and then we're going to go into that. Now, all that the story is going to entail is just the dungeon. There's not really going to be any story touched up on or anything like that. If there is, it might be a cutscene at the end. But for the most part, it's going to be strictly the dungeon. I may talk, I may not talk. If there's text that comes up, I may read it, I may not. So we'll have to see. Okay, so right now we're just going to find if there's anybody in the FC that would like to join us for this run. We're also going to ask in the LS as well, just to see if there's anybody that would like to join us up. So give me just a few moments here and we will most likely get going. Hang on. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pull Mizore in. They're going to be a healer for us. So let's see who else wants to go. Alright, we're going to get Kuma in here. So it's Mizore and Kuma. He's gonna be a rogue. Hang on, give me just a second here. Okay. So we're gonna see if we can get anybody else in here. Alrighty, so we have Mizore, who's going to be healing us, Kuma, who is a rogue and going to be DPSing, and Sabo, who's nice enough to come and tank this. So we're going to go ahead and queue up now and get started on this. We don't need that. Okay. So here we go. Queuing up now. Because it's a full party, it's gonna be like an instant queue pretty much. So hopefully this won't take too long. We'll see. Try not to get ahead of my tank here, so. Okay, now for this, the bloody memo, that comes into play later. Pretty much, you find the parchment, and it says the captain likes his wine red. That comes into play later, and I'll let you know when. But it's important to remember the color that's stated. Now the color that was stated on that one is red, so just keep it in mind. And real quick before I forget, if you look in the right hand corner just underneath my map, you'll find you'll see something that says Duty Finder, and then underneath that it says Sastasha, and there's a timer that's clicking down. That timer is on every single dungeon, raid, whatever it is you're doing that you queued for. It's always going to have a timer on it, and then underneath that timer are the different things you have to go through to complete the dungeon. So we are only getting to the first one, which is activate the coral trigger. What you're seeing Sabo do right now is he's marking things so that way me and Kuma as DPS will know which target he wants to be killed first. That's all that is. A lot of tanks use a mark system in order to let the DPS know, hey, attack this target, don't attack the other targets yet. It helps them keep better aggro on everything as well, especially at the lower levels, because at lower levels it is a little bit harder for tanks to keep aggro because they don't have as many as their threat creating abilities yet. Okay, another thing that you might be wondering about is up in the left-hand corner of my screen, you'll see that I have a yellow bar that's called Limit Break. That's pretty much self-explanatory. It's an ability that can only be used when the bar is full to do what's called pretty much a limit break. It's a very good attack for that very few last little percentage of an enemy. Mainly it's used on bosses. A lot of groups try to save it for the last boss, but it depends on the group you're in. Underneath that you see what's called a light party, and you see kind of what it's all made up of. So you see my name at the top and what level I am, and then you see Seibo, Mizore, and Kuma. Now, all of their levels are at 18, but they also have that circle with like a squiggly diagonal line through it. What that means is that they've been level synced. Now, what level sync means is that their level has been brought down to the highest level for this instance, for this dungeon. And they only have abilities up to that level. They don't have any other higher level abilities. Everything gets scaled down, gets brought down to an acceptable level. So some people like it, some people don't. I know I can go into healing some of these, and I get a little bit bored. So.
Love has got me caught up, drives me to a door. Every little piece inside knocking at your door. Tell me, can't you see the signs? Written by a maniac, this love has made me blind. Can't deny your poison gets me high. Just a little taste, shook my life and hit me like a drum. I feel the mambo, you make my heart go just like a mambo, I let it out, mambo, chop, 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 mambo, play the game and get me hypnotized. Wanna feel the vibe. So hey now, Mr. Wiz, get the magic done. Let me sway up high, baby, here I am. I feel the mambo, you make my heart go just like a mambo, I let it out, mambo, I feel the mambo, you make my heart go just like a mambo, I let it out, mambo,
Okay, now what I just did was an oops. I pulled before the tank did. You want to avoid that if you can. There's a lot of groups you'll get into where they don't avoid it. A lot of people don't care. I kind of do because I don't like to be that mean. But just, you know, for heads up to try to watch that. Now, I know you can see it right now. You see the coral formations back there? Now, remember what color that we saw it was before? It's red. And so what we'll do is we come over here, we touch the red one, and if it's the right color, it's going to say you found a switch. You press it. You click yes. So then we come up here. I'm going to assume that everybody's ready. We hit that, and it starts a boss fight. So we're just gonna go ahead and kill this guy.
Can you feel the music and the melody? I can feel it moving through my whole body. Sound, it takes me higher to another place. Lose control of myself.
Okay, and that was the first boss fight in here. So we get this, and now we see the loot that's in the treasure chest. Now this box here only pops up from certain chests and from boss chests. Now these are plundered goggles, and those are actually going to be really good for me. So I'm going to need on those. You hear the Final Fantasy victory theme, that means you won it. So let's see if we can get those on real quick. Yes, we can, and now we're going to go back in the fight. A real quick note, it's very important to remember that if you get a new piece of gear that you can use right then from a chest that drops in a dungeon, equip it right away. Don't wait to equip that. Sometimes you won't be able to. Sometimes the group will go up ahead of you and pull a mob, and sometimes it makes it to where you're unable to equip a piece of gear you just got. Other times it doesn't. Like the time just now, it didn't make me unable to equip the new item because I hadn't actually engaged the enemy myself yet. So that's something to keep in mind. Sometimes you can equip while your group has pulled a bunch of enemies, and sometimes you cannot.
Makes me feel like I can fly, like I cannot ever die. Music is my only drug. Can you feel the music and the melody? I can feel it moving through my whole body. Sounds that takes me higher to another place. Losing all the words of when I hear the bass.
Okay, now what this is, it's not an item I can use. This is an item that a different class can use. Now you see the red letters underneath the item level 15. That's just underneath magic damage. Excuse me. That signifies that is for the THM is a thaumaturge. The BLM is black mage. Those are just some abbreviations that are used in the game. But that's letting you know that only a thaumaturge or a black mage can equip this item. So since we don't need it, we're going to actually pass on it.
Just give me a reason to keep my heart beating. Don't worry, it's safe right here in my arms. As the world
Okay, real quick, what we're doing here, we're actually doing a full clear, meaning we're pretty much killing everything in here, which will get you a little bit more experience. Not a whole lot of groups will do it. We're doing it because, like I said before, this is all members from the free company. They're all going to be okay with helping out and everything. So.
risk everything if it's for you. I whisper into the night.
There's also a mapping achievement as well. So if you map out a dungeon, you get an achievement for mapping out that dungeon. Because the dungeons don't change, you know, they stay pretty much the same, but you get an achievement for mapping it out if you go and find all the areas that are required for it. If you like hunting down achievements, that is. Which is actually usually pretty fun. Lala's always getting stuck behind barrels. Okay, now as you can tell, the tank kind of died. There was a little bit too many of them. The healer's still alive and is doing pretty good, and me and Kumar are trying to take these guys down as quick as we can. So hopefully we can and we don't all die, because that would suck. Now the tank revived himself. Pretty much what he did is he released and then he just ran back to where we were. So if you do that, you don't get a debuff. If somebody reses you, you do get a debuff. It's called weakness. Sends like 15%. I think I touched up on it earlier when Ace came and healed me, but or resed me one time, and I think it touches about, I think it has a debuff of 15% of all your stats. So if you don't want to have that debuff, try to just not be lazy in a dungeon and run back to where everybody is. The healers will thank you for it a lot of the time. Honestly, this is good. It's a neck piece, pretty much a necklace, and that actually will be good because we have a level 8 necklace on. So we'll meet on that and see if we win it. I think we will though, but we'll see. Again, because the loot hasn't been handed out yet, that means there's someone sitting there with the loot options still available to them, which means they haven't clicked need, greed, or pass yet. So either they'll do that before the timer goes up, or any loot like this does have a timer on it that you can see in the red numbers that are counting down in the box. Once that timer runs out, whoever had the highest roll would be the one to get it. And thankfully we didn't have to wait. Okay, now what happened with this boss fight is that enemies known as ads came into the fight as well. So we have the boss, and then we also have ads. Ads are important to take down, because if they're not taken down, they can just pretty much overall become a nuisance, and then they deal the damage. They deal damage on top of whatever the boss is dealing, and then it's just it's a pain. It's just a really big pain if the ads aren't taken out. Now, if your DPS is fast, you can ignore the ads, sure. But if it's not, and it's about average, just kill the ads. I know it makes the fight a little bit longer, but just kill the ads. And there's that achievement I was talking about. This one's called Mapping the Realm Sastasha. So, you'll get that from every dungeon that you go into as long as you've located all the areas specified on that achievement. So. Oh, creature, that creature you just saw there is called a Sahagin. They're one of the beast tribe races of the game. They're not very nice. I know you're seeing the unnatural ripples. There's like one to our right. There's one up towards the top of the screen there. Those are important to keep an eye on, because when they start to bubble, you need to click on them so you can stop them, because if not, you end up getting ads in this boss fight. It is not that the ads, like I said, are a big problem. It's just, if you want to avoid them, it's probably a good idea just to click on them. Doesn't hurt nobody to do it, so. Okay, and they've got that, so I'm gonna run back here to the boss. And see, there's one of the ads right there. One of the ripples either wasn't clicked on in time or it didn't activate, so we ended up getting one of the ads. So we're just gonna take him out. And Kuma's doing the limit break there, so our second bar of limit break wasn't all the way full, but you can still use it because you have one bar that's full. As long as one bar is full, you can use it. So we completed it. I think I saw a level up in there somewhere, so that's pretty neat. And those are for healers, or for anybody that casts magic, so I don't need those, so I'm going to pass on them. And that's all for this dungeon, so we're going to go ahead and leave now and see what cutscene is in there for us. Okay, so it looks like there was not a cutscene at the end of that particular dungeon, which is perfectly fine, because we gotta go back to Batteren at the Drowning Wench anyways, so but for now we're gonna go ahead and call it an end to this episode, because I'm gonna stick with, you know, only dungeons are gonna have their own episode. We're not gonna do anything else than that because they are so long, and I'm not gonna be cutting out any of it, so you guys can get the full feel of pretty much how long a dungeon can be. So for now, we're gonna go ahead and say goodbye, and we will see everybody next time. Bye bye.